Welcome, friends. If you want to find a seat, we'll go ahead and get started tonight. My name is Dan Boone. I'm president here at Trevecca Nazarene University, and we want to welcome you to this community gathering tonight to talk about the location for our new police department. It's a delight to have you here. Councilman Colby Sledge is with us, and also council member just across the street from us, Freddie O'Connell, and it's good to have both of them. And Chief Anderson, it's always a joy to have you here. Taking a public moment for this, with the chaos that is going on in so many of the major cities of the United States these days between community and the police department, we are blessed. We are blessed in our community to have the leadership that we have in our police department, and we're deeply, deeply grateful for that. Just a quick word about the location of this new venture from Trevecca's perspective. The historic downtown Nashville has always been like a wagon hub with spokes leading out from it, and we've been kind enough to all of our neighboring cities to name our roads after them. Lebanon Road, Donaldson Road, Gallatin Road, Franklin Road, Murfreesboro Road. We've just named it after all of these. And the revitalization of downtown Nashville now allows us to begin to focus, and I'm so thankful for our new mayor's emphasis on the rebuilding of the infrastructure of those major corridors that take us to our closest neighbors and literally to the population around Nashville. Trevecca finds itself strongly in support of this new location for the police department, and we're excited for that. I would mention, I'd be remiss not to mention one of two mayors that are in the room tonight. He was never elected by anyone, but I have to just give a tip of the hat to the mayor of Murfreesboro Road, Bobby Jocelyn, for his significant work in helping this happen. We're deeply grateful, Bobby, for all that you've done. The Murfreesboro Road Business Association, which has been a group of community leaders that has been active through the past, this is a group of people who care deeply about this part of the city, and we're thankful for this moment. And now to the other mayor who is in the room. Megan Berry is just completing her first 100 days in office as our new mayor. And as the leader of an institution that traffics in grades all the time, let me just tell you, an A+ to her in these first 100 days, and specifically for the team that she has established to lead our city, and also for the tenor of her office and the way that she has invited the community to come around the kind of key decisions that are being made and involves us in meetings like this. And it is our joy, it's our joy to have her here tonight with us. And she's going to take it from here. Would you welcome our new mayor, Megan Berry?
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Boone. I could have used you as a professor if you were giving out a lot of A+. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. And this is a very important conversation. And there are a lot of folks in the room that I just want to take a moment and recognize because we have a lot of elected officials here. We have Vice Mayor David Briley is here. We have Councilman Freddie O'Connell, and Freddie's district will be what we're talking about tonight, but we're actually sitting in Councilman Colby Sledge's district. We have Councilman Bill Pridemore, who is here. He's a former police officer. He's also head of the budget committee at the moment. We have Councilmember Russ Pulley. We have Councilmember Robert Swope. We have Councilmember Erica Gilmore. We have former Councilmember Sandra Moore, and we have Councilmember DeCosta Hastings. And I also just wanted to give a special shout out to Pastor Stevenson, who I see sitting over here, who does incredible work along this corridor. And so much of what we're talking tonight about is this corridor and what's good for this corridor and how do we bring new revitalization. And I think part of that is moving forward with a new police headquarters. But I want to hear from you. We actually had this conversation when I was on the Metro Council several months ago. And at that time, there was a different idea for where to put that police headquarters. I think one of the keynotes of my administration is that I want to hear from you. Where do you want to see this go? I think this is a great idea. This is a community meeting for us to have tonight where you're going to share your thoughts and your opinions. Let me just tell you why we need this, because I think that's also important. We have a criminal justice center right now where the current police headquarters exist, and it's in desperate need of repair. It needs complete revitalization and renovation. And part of that criminal justice center has the piece of this in it. And so by taking this and moving this headquarters to this corridor, what we're able to do is renovate that much more efficiently and cost effectively by moving the police. So that's part of the reasoning why we're doing this now. And I'm going to, again, just thank all of you. This is going to be a great conversation. If you have questions as we go, I look forward to helping answer them. And I'm going to turn this over to our Chief Anderson, who is also going to take a few minutes to talk about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and my sincere thanks to everybody that's gathered here to talk about this, raise any concerns you have. We'll answer any questions that you might have tonight. And Dr. Boone, thank you for hosting this. Trevecca has always made us very welcome, and you certainly have tonight. And thank you for your kind remarks. And I need to qualify some of the things you said, but look at the supervisors and leaders in this department that we have gathered here tonight. They really run the police department. And so they're very interested in the welfare of the city and moving this city forward. And you can see that by their attendance here tonight. So thank you again. And certainly thank you to Mayor Berry and to all the members of the council that that are here tonight to show their interest and find out all the details as we prepare to go before them with this proposal. As Mayor Berry said, the Criminal Justice Center, and especially the part with the jail, it's on its last legs. And the police portion is so intertwined with the operation of the sheriff that it's pretty much impossible to do any meaningful renovation on one part of it without vacating the other part. So that's one of the reasons it's so necessary that we start a project now so that we can get on with the renovation of the jail. But just as an example, just in the police department, frankly, our part of the building is in better repair than the sheriff's part, but the HVAC, the air conditioning, is failing. Replacing it is very, very costly and would involve gutting basically the whole building. This summer we had to install window units, which look somewhat tacky as I know you drive down James Robinson Parkway, but it was very necessary. Temperatures were approaching 80 degrees. We were having to send people home. That same unit is somewhat failing today. My assistant in my office has taken a pair of gloves and cut the fingers out of them so that she could actually work. General Services has been up there all day and doing the very best they can to get us some warm air there, but the parts aren't available anymore to repair the system. But so it's either spend a lot of money or vacate the building. That building was built, we moved into it in 1982. Frankly, it was designed for the police department as it existed in the 70s. And as you know, that we were centralized, all of our burglary detectives, our robbery detectives, our homicide detectives were all downtown. And the precinct commanders were somewhat at the mercy of those units to provide information, to work on neighborhood burglaries, to solve homicides. And I think you know that we have decentralized, and all of that is done at the neighborhoods, in the 8 precincts. So we're working out of a building that was designed for another police department, and that's another reason it's not very efficient, and that's another reason that we need to think about a new building. It's been asked what would be in this building. Well, it basically be administrative personnel, about 47 sworn personnel. That would include myself, the deputy chiefs, a number of detectives, but for the most part, it would be the non-sworn professional staff, the people that run payroll and personnel, our computer people, the people that operate our secondary employment unit, things of that nature. So it would be about 2 to 3 stories. The design has not been finalized, but about 35,000 square foot per story. The area, we've got about 7, almost 8 acres there that the city already owns. There is ample parking for what we would be doing and house both the criminal justice, the family justice center that we've already broken ground on, and a police headquarters that we're proposing tonight. And you'll hear for a minute from Ms. Arietta. Dominic is going to take the lead on talking about what kind of building would be and where we would go from here, but I'll leave most of that to her. But again, about 47 sworn personnel, myself, other administrative personnel, some key detectives, and then about 79 of our professional staff, computer people, payroll people, things of that nature. And obviously, they're going to be frequent in Murfreesboro Road, eating in the restaurants and that sort of thing. And we think, as has happened in everywhere we've been, if you go out on 12th Avenue to our new Midtown Hills precinct, if you go out on Charlotte, where the old Ford dealership was renovated and made into our West precinct, you can see the neighborhood coming up. You can see the existing business sprucing up their storefronts, and you can see new business moving in. And then obviously, with police headquarters on that site, the site of our proposal, there'll be a lot of police business there. There would be officers from other precincts that may need to make trips to police headquarters. And so there'll be police traffic on Murfreesboro Road. And then obviously anywhere that you have police cars on the street, the streets are going to not only appear safer, they're going to be safer. But that's a brief overview from me. So I would turn it over now to Councilman O'Connor.
All right. Well, so yes, this mic is working also, so great. I'd first like to echo the thanks to Dr. Boone and Trevecca for hosting this important conversation tonight. And then I'd like to especially thank Mayor Berry. An idea has to start somewhere. We know that the police headquarters, per Chief Anderson, is going to be relocated. And how an idea gets implemented is fundamental to how it's shared. We've heard the mayor talk about what's good for this corridor, but I would argue that the way we've gotten to this conversation is also good for this community. The mayor chose to make the announcement about not just the proposal, but the fact that we are going to have a conversation about it at Metro Council in front of the full body. And I think that's such an important way to start a conversation like this that involves issues of public safety, issues of community, and issues of transparency. So I'm very grateful to her for how she chose to start this conversation. For me personally, as a district council member, I'm excited about the prospect of capital investment, especially when it's strategic. We're leveraging land that Metro has already begun to leverage for the Family Justice Center. And we're doing this on a corridor that is hungry for revitalization. Now, I'm also very grateful to have residents from one of the nearest residential communities in Napier here, and my fundamental task tonight is going to be listening. So thanks to you all for coming and participating in this conversation.
Thank you, Councilman O'Connell, and thank you for all of you coming out tonight. And welcome to District 17 on this side of Murfreesboro. And I wanted to echo the sentiment that Councilman O'Connell shared, and is that our main goal as district council members here is to make sure that we have a full dialogue with the community about what this would mean from a variety of aspects regarding this location, the operations that would occur, and really what it would mean toward jumpstarting the economic revitalization of Murfreesboro Pike. As you probably drove down here, you can see this is not as far from downtown as it seems sometimes, but sometimes it seems an economic world away. And my hope is when we start talking about revitalization, whether it's the headquarters that we're going to talk about tonight or future conversations, that we're keeping in mind the community, the increase of community we can have, the increase of economic impact, and in this case, the increase that we can have in justice matters, because we're sitting on a pike that gets featured in public television for human trafficking. We're sitting in an area where we need to know that we have the same resources and the same attention that other areas of the city have. And I think the fact that we're having this conversation tonight shows the dedication of our mayor, shows the dedication of our police force and our police chief, and hopefully shows the dedication of your Metro Council toward making sure that this area gets that same attention. So I'm really looking forward to the conversation we're going to have not only tonight, but going forward. And please know, and I think I speak for everybody at this table, that our ears are going to be open to what you have to say.
Good evening. My name is Dominique Arietta, and I'm with Gobble Hayes Partners, also known as GHP. We were tasked to look at the square footage needs of the headquarters and determine if the Metro-owned property at 600 Murfreesboro Pike will accommodate the needs of the police department. The headquarters will be approximately 70,000 square feet, and like Chief said, will house the administrative functions of the police department. This includes public relations, information technology, human resources, and the fiscal department, as well as the offices of the Chief of Police and Deputy Chiefs. The headquarters will also house a media room for breaking news and press releases. The 7.94-acre site is located at the intersection of Foster Avenue and Murfreesboro Pike and has many advantages. One advantage to the site is that it has multiple points of vehicular and pedestrian access, as well as several bus stops located within walking distance. The public will access the headquarters by Murfreesboro Pike. MNPD personnel will access the building along the north side of the property by Lanny Boswell Avenue, which connects indirectly to Murfreesboro Pike and directly to Elm Hill Pike. The rear access allows for approximately 200 secure parking spaces accessible by card reader. You may have noticed that the site has a considerable slope. The headquarters is proposed to be 2 to 3 stories, and the intent would be that the public would access the building on its lowest level from Murfreesboro Pike, and the MNPD personnel would enter the building from the rear parking lot at a higher floor level. Another advantage to this site is the headquarters will complement the Family Justice Center, which is already planned immediately to the east of the proposed headquarters. While the buildings will remain independent, the site will be developed in a way to provide continuous sidewalks, lighting, and street trees along Murfreesboro Pike. Green space will also be included between the two buildings. All improvements to the site and the building will be in line with the Nashville Next Community Plan for South Nashville and all Metro codes and ordinances. The planning has just begun on moving the headquarters, and there are still many details that need to be developed, including what the building will look like. Along with the Family Justice Center, the headquarters project will provide many benefits to the neighborhood and community.
If you'd like to ask any questions, there are microphones here on both sides. If you wouldn't mind, come forward, state your name, and then feel free to ask any questions or make the statements that you would like to. And the mayor of Murfreesboro Road will begin our conversation tonight.
Dr. Boone, I don't have a driver yet. If you could arrange for me to have a driver tonight, I would appreciate that. I want to thank everybody. This is really a dream come true for this area. I came out here, we came and bought our property next door 13 years ago. And when we came out here, this area, it was really dangerous. There was a hotel up the street, and John Zimmerman, a lot of you know John Zimmerman, former DA. I'd actually called John and I said, General, what's going to happen to that hotel? 1,300, 1,400 police calls go in there every year. And he said, Jocelyn, he said, just stay low, be quiet, and you're going to see some improvements pretty soon. Well, maybe about a month later, one of my friends in the police department called and said, Bob, in the morning I want you to be down at McDonald's at 6 o'clock. I said, okay, I think I got a message here. He said, you do have a message. Go get you a cup of coffee and you're going to like what you see. That day forward, that police department changed the dynamics of this neighborhood. And this police headquarters is going to change the dynamics of it again. And I am proud to have a lot of friends in the police department, a lot of friends in this community. Dr. Boone, we've really worked hard out here in our little Merchants Association. Purity Dairies, I mean, I just can't tell you guys what this is going to do for our area here. And I'm proud to be a part of it. And Mayor, I love your vision. I love the way you move. Let's just keep this thing moving forward.
Thank you. Again, I do appreciate this meeting this evening. And my question is for Chief Anderson. You said that a lot of things have not been finalized as of yet. However, I wanted to know, will the Youth Services Division be located in this particular headquarters? Because it really would be nice to consider it because sometimes it is such an inconvenience for families to come downtown, you know, especially if there's an investigation because they have to park and then they're only interviewed for about 15 minutes. So it really, you know, would be advantageous if that could happen. And the other piece to this is there going to be a community meeting room? I heard that something about media room that's going to be there. Will there be a community room to have meetings as well at the site?
The answer to the first question on the Youth Services Division, it will not be in police headquarters, but it will be next door in the Family Justice Center.
Oh, that is great.
As we build the Family Justice Center, that was part of our vision, that we have the National Children's Alliance who offers forensic examinations and counseling to abused and sexually abused children, our Youth Services Division, our Domestic Violence Division, along with the Department of Children's Services from the state of Tennessee, and a component of our district attorney's office, so that we can provide a complete family service. And the second question?
A community meeting room.
What we envision, we will not have a community room, I don't think. I don't think there's going to be like we do at the precincts, but what we envision is having a media room where that we can have, invite the press in to talk about our issues, and that can also serve for neighborhood meetings as well, and especially with the business associations.
Now, will that, when the Justice Center, be built, I know I had the experience of seeing one of my children being swabbed, for DNA. Will that be, just like you're doing with the adults, being treated at this site, will they have the same kind of personable, treated like with, because sometimes when you come into an environment like that, will they have that, like they're being treated with such, they're made to feel comfortable about coming into the Justice Center, when it's built?
Yeah, keep in mind, and thank you for that question, because keep in mind, this will be a service not only to adults, but to children. And we offer services. It is not a juvenile detention center in any way. As a matter of fact, I need to make that, if we haven't talked about that, the police department does not own a jail cell. We do not have even a holding cell anywhere in our police department. In Nashville, Davidson County, those duties are divided right into the sheriff. Sheriff Hall is responsible for all the jail cells. As a matter of fact, we are accredited nationally. And last year we even went for the gold standard. And part of the accreditation process, there's a whole unit of standards you have to meet if you have even one holding cell. So we have no need for one. And so whether it's children or whether it's adult, there is no jail cells in any of our buildings.
While we're waiting for another question, I just wanted to highlight, I know that we had some additional council members join us. I saw Council Member Mina Johnson, and I think I saw Council Member Larry Hager as well. And Council Member DaCosta, you already got credit because I gave you a shout out before you were here.
If you need us to bring a microphone to you where you are, please just indicate that with a hand, and we'll be glad to do that.
Yeah, surely there's questions or comments that people would like to make. I think there's a test at the end.
Are you in support? Anybody in support? We'd like to hear that too.
Yeah, hello. My name is Mohammed Shukri Hassan, and own a small business along this corridor. And a lot of our new American community have been really reinvesting in this. But I have been telling our community leaders around the city that this has been really one of the most neglected corridor. And this is really a progress. So I want to thank the mayor and all our council for really initiating this. But my question goes to Chief Anderson, which is, I work closely with New Americans and cultural barrier and language barrier with the police officers along this corridor. And a lot of time is I hear folks on this side of the corridor, when things happen, they tell me that talk to South Precinct. And then on that side, just so on. With this new location, if it got put there, are you guys going to have another plan so that the MNP, the Metro Police Department has been expanding in terms of their precinct? Are we going to have a new precinct here with this headquarters, or is the plan going to stay the same?
I'm going to say yes with the mayor sitting right here beside me. one of the first conversations that Mayor Barry and I had is about that 9th precinct, and so it's certainly in the planning stages, and obviously there's money issues that we have to address, and buildings and land acquisition, but that's certainly something we want to do, and this Murfreesboro Road corridor is where we want it to be. So we are already in discussions about that. It's on the way, but as I said, it'll take. I'm projecting 2019, but it's coming.
Thank you so much.
And thank you. And I don't think I've ever been to a public meeting you weren't there. So thank you for your participation.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think that's really, because for me, I mean, I know how to navigate this, but it's very confusing for the communities. We hear police officer, you talk to him, say, like, okay, talk to Hermitage or talk to South. So having a precinct here, that's really important.
It really will. We use the major thoroughfares because the positive aspect is you get double coverage, but sometimes there is that confusion. Yes. So, but thank you for being here tonight.
Good evening. My name is Jamaica Usher, and I am a resident of Tony Sudicum Apartments, which is not far from Trevecca. And I've been sitting here, and I've been hearing about, us building up Murfreesboro Road and bringing up, I guess keeping up with the growth of Nashville and bringing growth back to Murfreesboro Pike. But my question is, with you all building the precinct so close to downtown and Tony Sudicum Apartments, will there be a faster response time when there are calls being made, or is that the purpose of the precinct? Because I am a single mother with 4 children, and my children are afraid to go outside and play due to the community. And for me as a parent, that's heartbreaking to know that I have to take my children from the community to go to another community to play or to be involved in sports activities. So I wanted to know from you all, with you all building a precinct, is it going to be a faster response time when there are calls being made? Because I wake up in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, to gunshots every morning. And I feel like if you can get up that early in the morning to shoot a gun, then you should be getting up that early in the morning to go punch a clock and go to work. So I just want to know, what is this precinct going to bring to the community for Tony Sudicum?
Exactly what you're talking about. My first assignment as a patrol officer was in the J.C. Napier, Tony Sudicum areas, and so I know firsthand, and it's improved vastly over these years. But yes, it's only taken us 40 years of my career to get us where we need to be, but that's the exact purpose of that 9th precinct, because right now it's serviced out of the Hermitage precinct, and yes, we do keep people in that area, but there is some response times, and we know that, and that's the reason we want to be closer to the neighborhood. So thank you for bringing that to us, and another reason for that 9th precinct.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Andrea Flores, Justice for Jefferson Street Coalition. I see very few working class people here. A 5:30 p.m. meeting is not optimal for community engagement, especially when you have children. You have to cook dinner, etc. So keep that in mind as you continue to plan. Proposing a headquarters under the guise of economic development and increased public safety is something we've heard before. And as you just heard the lady speak to, it's very obvious that the community needs dollars invested, not so that administrators can be more comfortable in policing and ultimately jailing people in this neighborhood, as we know will happen. So that I think people need to keep that in mind. Also, I've read the 30-page document that was put out for proposing this move from downtown. I'm certainly not convinced that it cannot be renovated. I think there are plenty of dollars that have been budgeted and allocated to do such things. And so, as it is becoming more clear that this move is kind of already in the making, and this may just be a public display of what it is you're trying to do in terms of engaging community, I'm not convinced. This is not where I want my tax dollars. And I pay tax dollars just like everybody else here. Gobble Hayes representative, we've seen a rendering before. I think it's very unfair to bring that type of thing to the community and already have a precinct in the works when you're still trying to gain input. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for being here tonight.
Hey, first off, I want to say my name is Trace Whittam, and I really thank you guys for holding this. Mayor Barry, you've done a fantastic job with working with the community just your first couple months in office. I'm a big-time supporter of the Metro Police Department, which I guess is why I'm here, because I'm a little jealous that possibly the new headquarters is going to be on a different side of town other than North Nashville, where I was hoping that it was going to go. Shout out to my councilman, DeCosta Hastings over there, Councilman 2. Listen, I'm just going to give my spiel, and I'm a little sour grapes because I don't necessarily feel like the first time this was brought up with Jefferson Street is with, mind you, is the last mayor. It was with the last council. Things have changed since then. People have elected new people since then. We've had a new direction since then. My question is, the work I've done in my community and talked to my neighbors, nobody knew about the economic impact this is going to bring, which is once again why I'm jealous. I mean, you guys, if this comes this side of town, of course it's going to revitalize the area. I mean, you think the city is going to let our new headquarters go to waste? I mean, come on. So I do think rather than buying a new facility from someone else, I did a little bit of work. I understand there's, I believe it's on 1414 Hospital Road. It's the Bordeaux Nursing Home. It's a facility the city's tried to do something with for a while. Maybe reinvesting some money into an area we already have, because I think slowly by that's starting to kind of fade away. It's going to be a project we're going to have to do sooner or later. Maybe it's something we could say, hey, if we're going to invest, it's like re-renovating a house. We can sell our house and get a new mortgage and pay more. Or maybe we kind of like our area and we should invest in our home and kind of make it better. I know that area as well needs that new economic impact. I don't feel like the people in North Nashville were really told how much this is going to affect and impact an area. It's totally going to bring, I mean, sidewalks, something we all argue about. I mean, they're going to make sure the sidewalks are done there, make the streets clean. All we heard all summer long is North Nashville Matters. I can't tell you how many radio ads I heard. North Nashville Matters, our representatives, North Nashville Matters, North Nashville Matters. To take this opportunity away from North Nashville, that matters too. And I'm not saying Jefferson Street was the right thing. I think that was spoke on. And actually, I guess the research I've kind of done, it wasn't necessarily about, it was kind of more politics and maybe the way it was going to be done. And I understand that that's just the political process, and I respect that. But if this ship hasn't sailed and it's not totally done, I would really ask, maybe we look at a couple locations. Maybe the good folks in the media would do a little research for us and tell us how it's going to affect the areas money-wise, and maybe hold another one of these forums and decide them. But eventually it's going to be decided. Councilman Sledge, I know you're probably extremely excited about the opportunity that you're up first. But I would just ask, before we move this forward, something like the Bordeaux Hospital that we've tried to do something with for a while, that we look into that and we say, well, this is why it doesn't work. I've not heard why it doesn't work yet. Why are we moving it here? Why did that not work? Nobody answered that question. So thank you for listening to us. Appreciate the work you did. I'm sure it's going to be a great facility wherever it is. But we're jealous of North Nashville, so don't throw us out.
Thank you for being here.
Hi, my name is Mark Buchanan. I'm a resident of Chestnut Hill, and I'm just telling you we welcome you with open arms. It's a rough neighborhood. I've lived over there for 10 years now, and it's declined. It's not gotten better in the 10 years I've been there. But the one thing that has changed is the neighbors are more active. We want it to change. We want the drugs off the street. And yes, you will arrest people, and we hope you arrest people because there's a lot of bad stuff going on. So please come to our neighborhood and make a difference.
Thank you for coming. There were several members from Chestnut Hill tonight, and I just wanted to thank all of you for being here. And just quickly to the point, I think Councilman O'Connell would agree with me, as far as community engagement and meetings and making sure that there are times and places that are accessible for all of our community, that's going to be paramount to us, honestly. It's going to be at the top of our list, and whenever and wherever we need to meet, we will. And I hope that's been borne out in what we've done so far, but if it hasn't already, I promise you it will in this.
Hi, I'm Kayla Jocelyn. I'm the unofficial mayor's official daughter. I am an employee of Jocelyn & Son Sign Company right up the street, which will be right to the right of the Family Justice Center. So far, the only negative thing about this that I can see is that we need to clean out our lot and we need to plant some trees. That's really the only negative part. I don't think it's fair to discount the project because it's not reinvesting in a area of Nashville that we've already invested in. We all pay taxes. We're all living in the same city. Whether it's growth in North Nashville, South Nashville, East Nashville, West Nashville, growth is growth. It's good for all of us. It's good for one of us. To point out what Councilman said, a corridor that is hungry for vitalization. We are not hungry. We are starving. We have to be thrown a bone here. Murfreesboro definitely needs some help. And these are long-term effects. This is not a short, it's a short-term conversation that we're all here and we're all able to meet, and it's wonderful. But we're looking at 10 and 15 years down the road. And as a small business, that's great to know that we'll have a city that really invested in the Murfreesboro Street corridor. So thank you. We very much support this project, and we really look forward to its future.
Good evening, Mayor, Chief. Thank you for having this conversation. President Moon, we appreciate the opportunity to be here. My name is Pastor Stevenson. I pastor the largest African-American congregation in this community. I was raised in this community. I've lived here all my life. And when I was a little boy, Mark Ezel, the Purity Dairy, picked me up and gave me an opportunity to come and rake leaves, make an honest living, $5, but it was a good living. But what he did was he came a little bit down the street and just was a good neighbor. And I guess my recommendation would be, if this moves forward, which I think that this could be a great opportunity for this zip code, 37210 is the poorest zip code in the city based on the 2010 census data, the poorest zip code in the city. This is the weakest link of our city, and our city is only as strong as the weakest link. My only thing that I would say to the chief, and I have every reason to believe because I know the type of person he is, my only recommendation would be to be good neighbors, be good community, to reach back, create opportunities intentionally for that community. Even if it's, hey, we're going to go down and hire 5% or 7%. I don't want to add any quotas here, but I'm just putting on your appetite and opportunity of how we can be good neighbors, and don't forget about those that are down the street and how we can pull together. And so that's my only recommendation, is that we remember to be good neighbors when we come and create intentional opportunities for those who may need job opportunities, job training, careers in law enforcement. So I'm excited about this, and thank you again for this conversation tonight.
And thank you. And when we talk about revitalization, we're talking about businesses, but we're also talking about neighborhoods. And Pastor Stevenson, your mother still lives in this neighborhood, so I have to be a good neighbor. I can't disappoint her.
Hi, my name is David Pritchard. I also live in 37210. I didn't know we were that poor, but now I know. I live along the corridor as well at 2nd and near Murfreesboro Road, also in Chestnut Hill. I've talked to some other neighbors. I'm past president of the Neighborhood Association, and the people I've talked to, we're in big support of it. As a matter of fact, as I asked some neighbors, one of them said, "Oh, I'm already going to the meeting." It wasn't me putting people together. People just showed up. So, as far as I know, everybody in our or most of our neighborhood, we're in big support of it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tracy Stewart. I actually live in the Seven Oaks area side of Murfreesboro Road. There's already a precinct in my backyard. So when I heard about this coming to the Murfreesboro side, I was more concerned exactly where on the Murfreesboro side it was. I've been a resident of Nashville probably about 20-something years, moving here from a major city, so I've seen Nashville grow. Part of the growth that I haven't really seen is a lot to do with, like the lady said, things for our children to do, community centers, different activities for them to participate in. I find that to be very troublesome because Nashville is growing. It's getting a lot of attention in the media and different shows and things like that. And my children watch TV, I watch TV, a lot of people watch TV. So they tend to be blinded by what they see on TV. Nashville is one of the hot spots for bridal people to come in and party and so forth. So now it's becoming a party city. So when we talk about building things and precincts and so forth, I'm definitely for it because I do understand how it grows. I work for a major bank here in Nashville, so it does help me as well. But when we talk about this, I really don't see any negatives to it. A lot of negatives that I hear all come from, well, what else does it bring? So those are other questions to be addressed. And I know it does come in time. I do feel like a lot of the projects that have come to Nashville have solely been coming to downtown and building up downtown. Well, downtown does bring revenue, but it doesn't really kick back to the other neighborhoods. So this hopefully will kick back to this corridor of Murfreesboro Road and so forth, and maybe going forward. The building of the Southeast Community Center, rebuilding that, kind of helped revise the Antioch area, but there's a lot more to be done with that as well. I feel like a lot of the projects that come to Nashville should also, hey, this area over here is just as good. It's easy accessible to 24, 65, or 440 for that matter. It's right off the interstate. What about the community in itself? So I'm for it, is what I'm saying, but not just focusing on the headquarters. What is this headquarters? Yes, the police presence does deter a lot of things, but the South Precinct is in my backyard, and it's not just the safest neighborhood. We don't have a lot of crime over there, but down the street in this area, it's a lot of crime over here. So hopefully that will change that for this area as well.
Hi, I was a Trevecca alum, and so I'm familiar with this area. Came here in 2002 and graduated in 06. And I now live on Foster, so I'm still in the area. We're in the Woodbine neighborhood, District 16, and we had a community meeting for another development, something else happening out there. And our councilman had mentioned that this was a possibility to be discussed. And it was an overwhelming majority, almost like a general sigh of relief. We've got a lot of crime in that area. I think that the presence is going to improve the area. Spending 4 years on this campus and then moving down the street, the area's changed a lot. It's going to continue changing a lot, and it's going to need something like this as protective infrastructure for that to continue to happen. So, thank you.
Hi, my name is Joe Sheeran. My question relates to some of the dynamics with the prison facility. So one of the issues with this last time around in the spring, or summer, was the facility in Harding and the difficulty of having prisoners being released into that community, both in terms of the neighbors didn't want that, and also in terms of, as we mentioned, Nashville is a radial city, and so unless you're downtown, it can be difficult to get to different parts of the city. And so that's one of the major benefits of having the prisoners being released downtown, is that they're able to cheaply get to wherever it is they need to go. And so my question is kind of tangential to this. What will be happening to those services in the interim?
So I think your question is what's going to happen to the current criminal justice center that's downtown?
Yes, thank you.
So last summer, there was a conversation about that, and the Metro Council took the action to allocate the money to renovate that site on that site. And so that criminal justice center is in the process of being imagined, and there will be more community conversations about that, but that facility will stay there.
Thank you.
Welcome, Mayor Berry, Chief Anderson, our council people, and Dan Boone, thanks for hosting us. I'm David Ewing. I live in Hillsborough Village and near the Belmont Hills new police precinct. And I look at this site and see what Nashville used to be when Murfreesboro Road was a thriving place of clubs and restaurants. I was talking to some family members, and we were talking about one of the best places we ate back in the 70s was the Red Lobster on Murfreesboro Road, before we had all these great chef-owned restaurants. And Murfreesboro Road was a destination for people coming into town. I look at what the city did with their investment with the old Sulphurdale site, and now the federal government, the courthouse. Private investment has followed. And for this particular area, this is a big vote of confidence. If the police has to drive by Murfreesboro Road every day, and his staff that is here, they're going to notice things and they're going to put things in place to make this a better area. Private dollars will follow. There will be other restaurants, housing out here that wouldn't have been here for this. So I applaud everyone for doing this, and I applaud that we live in a city where the mayor and the police chief can sit side by side and they work together and they like each other. I think that makes us a better city, and I applaud both of them being at this community meeting. A lot of community meetings, you don't get the top people. You particularly don't get the mayor to listen to all of us. But my question is related to both of these buildings. And as we know, our city grows and our city expands. You talked about when the old police precinct was made, it was probably obsolete immediately. What is the shelf life of this particular site, and is there room for growth, and is there room for another entity to be located out here?
I will let Dominique talk to some of that, but yes, we anticipate some future growth, and we'd like to see this be a 50 to 100-year building.
Yes, we designed our buildings to be about a 50-year life. You know, there are things that have to be well maintained and things like that. As far as additional buildings on the site, it is a metro property, so there may be opportunities in the future, but at this time, we're just planning for these two facilities.
But I think we have some growth built into the building for as the police department grows, that we can expand in that building. And you're right, you know, when you bring back memories, when I was a patrol officer, you had the Red Lobster down there, you had the Peddler, you had the Fifth Quarter, and I believe I saw you a few times down at the Wrangler out on the dance floor.
Good evening. My name is Don Rollins. We own property on Elm Hill Pike, industrial space, family business. The question I have for the architectural review is, what, if any, impact will this site have, and particularly with hopefully the additional growth that will come from the private sector, on the traffic on Murfreesboro Road? Is that being looked into by your department as well, and how is that going to be handled?
Well, typically we look at this from a space plan, so this is very diagrammatic and just saying, hey, will this fit here? We will eventually get to a design build contract that will have all of the appropriate players on the team, which include traffic engineers and civil engineers and things like that. So they will begin to investigate additional needs for the right-of-way and look at the traffic signal, although we think that it's not going to be a huge impact here any more than it was before, but they will look at that during the design build process.
And I think it's important to remember that we have to get to a design build process. We haven't gotten there yet. This is just simply a site plan that shows you where we would like to locate this. This is still part of the community conversation about what happens next.
And I think one of the reasons this site is desirable is it has the back entrance, so that we can make use of Fessler's Lane and the back end, Lanny Boswell Street and so forth, as well as the front entrance. And we own it. We also own it, and it's a major bus route. And it was brought up about the people that need to commute to our youth services division for counseling and for other matters. And being on a main bus route is very important. So that's another reason it's a very good site.
First, I'd like to say thank you for allowing us to have the opportunity to speak to you guys on a personal level. My name is Shamita Granberry. I've been in Nashville all my life, which is 40 years. And I'm wondering, is this like the same thing that there was a headquarters built in North Nashville, and the police headquarters is sitting right behind the housing projects in North Nashville. Now, true enough, what I've seen is that you don't see a lot of crime out there, but when you talk about revitalization, no revitalization has been done there. You know, so is this the same blueprint that North Nashville has, that South Nashville will have? Because we have, like you say, businesses will come, restaurants and different things, because people will be frequenting, you know, being able to feel comfortable with being in this area. But it is really not, I don't see how it benefits the people who are already in the community who may want to start up businesses and things like that, because I've seen the property value go up in different areas out there because of this revitalization in different situations. And I'm really concerned to see how that happens. You know, we don't want to see a lot of crime, true enough. We do want things to change, but it is not changing for the community that I live in. My Nashville is not changing. Downtown Nashville is changing. My Nashville is not changing. My Nashville has been the same for 40 years for me, for my grandchildren, so forth and so on. And I don't think that it's more, not saying on a cultural level, it's not a, you know, a race thing. It's like when it comes to money, my Nashville is not changing. Everybody else's Nashville is changing. So is this the same? I have no issues with the actual headquarters. You know, the fact to have a family meeting, a family resource center or meeting, community rooms, that is great. I can say that is great. The police presence, yeah, that's going to keep people from doing a whole lot of things. But as far as building up a community as a whole, we are part of Nashville as well. So is this going to build up our community, or is this going to push us farther back into someone else's community? So it'll be a bigger problem instead of than just a smaller problem. Is this going to make this a bigger problem for our city?
I think you're probably referring to the North Precinct over off Metro Center Boulevard, and development has been a little slower than actually I anticipated there, but I think you're starting to see some new businesses come in that serve that neighborhood, make it walking distance to some restaurants and so forth. And just across the street, there's an apartment complex that's coming up. So that is starting to move forward. And hopefully, yes, that there'll be more places within walking distance to serve that neighborhood.
Hi, my name is Holly Whitby, and I don't live in the neighborhood, but I went to school here 20 years ago at Trevecca, and just recently came back to work at Trevecca. So even though I don't live here, I'm very familiar with the area. And I would just like to speak in support, because we have a wonderfully safe campus here. Our students feel very safe on this campus, and I think it's because of the relationship we do have with the community. But I look forward to the day when our students can walk off this hill and walk to restaurants or walk to downtown or walk various places and feel very safe. And I'm excited to hear that, you know, this particular headquarters may bring that possibility to our university.
Do we have one more? Oh, please.
My name is Iris Flagg, and thank you for having this forum. I'm just elated that this opportunity is here. My father has a business on the corner of Lafayette and Claiborne and 2 rentals for 60 years, and when he knows of the history where Judge Rubin and Mr. Steinberg's shoe shop was there, there have been changes that I have witnessed. I was born here, and I left here at 18, moved to a large city, and every time I come back, it just never changed. 30 years later, I'm back, pretty much as a caregiver, as a lover of some wonderful parents. And I have always been embittered, because when I take this stretch, I see the same level of crime. I see folks I'm about to run over. I see, even at his shop now, when I'm trying to renovate it, to take up, to make things better, to fill in. I'm driving into a drug deal. I'm walking out the door and I'm being accosted. I have being approached by something I'm not sure if I can control. And it's just devastating, because I'm torn. You know, we're trying to start another business there, and new rentals in his name, and I'm thinking, do we get out of this? So I've seen this stretch. I drive it all the time, and it's just devastating to me. And I'd love to see a change. I'd love to see this police presence really make a difference. And I don't understand where the love is lost. You know, I'd like to see the community leaders to really take a stand and love this environment. I see so little hope on that corner down there, and it's just crushing. And again, we need you. I hope this happens. But when it does happen, please reach out to these people. They need it desperately. And I don't feel safe. And it's not just from 8th Avenue all the way here, it's just further down this pike. There are drug deals and actions that I would love to see changed. But thank you, I'm very hopeful.
Hi, I'm John Hart. I live in Chestnut Hill, across from Napier Homes. And I would love to be able to walk downtown. So thank you, thank you. I hope this brings in a lot more presence. And I love the idea of having a new precinct. I'm in the South, it's a pie. I'm at the very, very tip of that pie. Yes, I have some flow over from some of the other precincts, but I'd love to have somebody that actually comes to my area. South Precinct goes all the way to the lake. From all the way up here. So it's impossible for my police officers to come all the way up. So we depend on those other precincts. So having one that's here would mean so much more. But thank you, totally in support, love it. Hope it brings in so much more business. Thanks.
Go ahead.
I want to thank all of you for coming tonight. I do have an apology to make for Trevecca. I think it's our student body that makes this the poorest zip code in the city of Nashville. College students are not known for their income. We're delighted to have our community leaders here, our city leaders here with us tonight. And there may be more questions in the room. We'll hang around for a little while if you want to catch us before you go. But we want to thank you for coming this evening. Mayor, do you want to close this up?
I'll close this up. I first of all just want to thank again all the Metro Council members who came out tonight, and thank you also for all your leadership and for sitting here and being part of the conversation. I want to thank the police chief and all of the police officers who also have joined us this evening, and all of you in the community who made time to come out and hear and let us hear your voices. This is a very important conversation, and it is a conversation. This is something that we're asking for your input, and I appreciate that you all took the time to do that. Dr. Boone, thank you for welcoming us here to Trevecca, and I look forward to more of these conversations, and everything that you all said tonight was really impactful and very important, and there are lots of different moving pieces. This is just one piece, and as we move Nashville forward, we'll have more of these kinds of conversations and have an impact on Nashville, so thank you very much.